Hello, everyone, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth, coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, LGRW from the PNW. I'd like to start off by wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Now, it being Thanksgiving, especially in the Motor City, the Detroit Red Wings, as well as the rest of the NHL, are going to bow out, take a day off, and defer to the gridiron and the Detroit Lions, who, per tradition, are going to play on Thanksgiving. Now, speaking of iron, the puck hit the iron a couple of times last night, and the Red Wings lost to the Predators. Now, with it hitting a couple of times early on in the game, I was starting to think that Talbot had fortune on his side, but unfortunately, there were a couple of spurts for the Predators where they scored two goals, maybe 15, 20 seconds apart the first time, and then 28 seconds apart the second time. That's four goals over a span of, collectively 48 seconds. Those are the kinds of things that make it really hard to win a game and really to recuperate in that kind of situation. Unfortunately, the Red Wings weren't able to recuperate and lost 6-3 against a team that on paper they were really expected to just run away with. But sometimes it's one of those any given day that ends with a Y in the NHL that one team can beat another. A couple of positives to take away from last night's loss to the Predators is the fact that Danielson, a rookie, got into the penalty box, and during that penalty kill, the Predators were able to score on their power play, so -1 for Danielson. Obviously, sometimes in a situation like that, a rookie can really take it on the chin, maybe slump his shoulders a little bit, but guess what? Later on in the game, on Van Riemsdyk's goal, guess who assisted? That's right, Danielson. So he took that -1 and added a +1 to it and kind of evened out, even Steven. As I like to say in golf, replace your divots, and that's exactly what Danielson did last night. So that's some positive takeaway from the Red Wings loss. A negative about last night's game is the Red Wings, who were in first place only a few days ago, have now fallen to fifth as a result of their two-game losing streak. The Ottawa Senators on the road facing the 60-minute men Golden Knights. Now, this is the 8th time this season that the Golden Knights have lost in overtime or shootout. They have almost as many overtime shootout losses as they do wins in regulation. And one of those losses last night obviously springboarded the Ottawa Senators over the Red Wings in the standings, and they even have a game in hand. So we went from being first place to being in second place coming into the night, now falling all the way down to fifth. Anticipating that next matchup Friday morning against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we'll see how the Red Wings recuperate, especially after a loss like this. I'm sure McClellan had plenty to say to them in the locker room, and we'll get back to McClellan when we get to our no-cap recap later on in the program. But kind of an ugly loss for the Red Wings against a team that, like I said, they probably should have beaten. Last night, another positive is we got another goal from a D-man last night, and Ben Chiarot. So we'll talk a little bit about Chiarot, a 13-year veteran. Played for 6 seasons with the Winnipeg Jets, and he's in his 4th season with the Red Wings. Now, he's got 3 goals on the season, his 3rd coming last night, like I mentioned. But his plus or minus over his career is -55. Obviously, not a number you want to really walk around with. And -46 of that is his time with Detroit. But he is on a +3 this season, so that's something. And he has got some other stats that are very helpful. He's got 48 blocks and 51 hits on this season. And on his career, he has 1,303 blocks and 1,432 hits. So for him to score, obviously is a plus. Like to see that kind of action, especially out of a D-man. I know that Seider gets a lot of the spotlight in Detroit as far as the D-men go, but it's good to see that Chiarot is scoring every once in a while there and kind of putting in his own on that. And he's a veteran. Obviously, he's got a lot more years under his belt than Seider does, so the fact that he can contribute at any kind of given moment, good thing to go. Obviously, something to be happy about. And moving forward, we hope that he can keep those blocks and those hits up and really kind of serve that purpose as a D-man, even if he's not scoring cider numbers offensively. If he's that presence and still accumulating those hits and blocks, obviously it's something that the Red Wings need. They really depend on that kind of thing out of their D-men. So good luck, Chiarot, with the rest of your season. He's obviously the gritty one, always seems to find himself in a scrap, and which is always good. It's a momentum builder. It's a team building exercise as well. Teammates look up to him in those kind of situations. So he serves his purpose. It doesn't always have to be on the goals and assists with a player. Their presence, their mindset, and their mind games that they play with those opposing players, that really comes into play a lot of times during the playoffs or down the stretch of the season when they're really making a playoff run. So I think that's Chiarot's role. I think he's not afraid to get into it with other players, and for that, he's a very valued member of this team. Now, it being Thursday and there being no game today to talk about as far as what's happening this evening, it's time for Throwback Thursday. Now, this throwback is only going to go back about almost 2 years. Now, this one is talking about Kane in his return to Chicago. Now, Patrick Kane, playing for Chicago, 1,161 games as a Blackhawk. He scored 446 goals in that uniform and had 779 assists. He played 19 games as a New York Ranger before coming over to the Red Wings. So this is, his third season with the Red Wings. His first time back to Chicago was February 25th, 2024. And in overtime, after a shot on goal by the Blackhawks came up short, DeBrincat was able to pull the puck away and just slide it up the ice. And look who was wide open on the breakaway, Patrick Kane. And the crowd obviously filling it. A crowd that's cheering for the Blackhawks, mind you. This is the Red Wings in town as visitors. Kane as a visitor wearing the 88 that he wore for so many years as a Blackhawk, but now it's on the back of a winged wheel, okay? So the fans, with this anticipation, and here we go on the breakaway, he beats Mrazek, and guess what? Everybody is just cheering, going crazy as if he were still in that Blackhawks uniform. I like to say that there are defining moments in careers and there are telling moments. Kane is somebody who has plenty of defining moments. He won the Conn Smythe when they won in 2013. Obviously called a Memorial Trophy. All the other things that he's accumulated in his career. Surefire Hall of Famer once he retires. You might not even have to wait the 3 years. But those are all the defining moments. The telling moment is when your home crowd that is now seeing you in a visiting uniform, instead of booing like fans are wont to do sometimes, here they are giving you an ovation, and you're doing the victory lap, the curtain call lap, and everybody's cheering for you as if you were still wearing that Blackhawks jersey. To me, that is just one of those telling moments. I really appreciate the Chicago crowd for that kind of respect, that kind of reverence for somebody of Kane's caliber, and that kind of appreciation. So to me, that is one of my favorite Red Wings moments. The call, Ken Daniels, I'm going to butcher it if I even try it, but he says, the story is complete on Kane's return to Chicago. And it was just all, unnecessary words on the broadcast because the crowd there was just telling it all. You would have thought that he was back in his 88 as a Blackhawk, the way that people were cheering at him and the way that he was, absorbing it in from the crowd. Really great moment for the Red Wings. Really great moment for Kane. Just to show that appreciation for all he did for them in all those years as a Blackhawk. Now, as much as I'd like to end the show on the positive note of a great moment in Red Wings' recent history, we still got to kind of dwell on last night's loss to the Predators. And we're going to go to the No Cap Recap, one of my favorite segments, actually probably my favorite segment of the show, in which we'll take a moment from a post-game press conference. We'll throw it into the AI slang translator and see what comes out the other end. I always love quoting McClellan on these because the AI slang is just, oh man, I wish I could just GPT this guy right on in and have him just, be dubbed in with all the words. But you're just going to have my voice be the soundtrack to this. But McClellan last night, after the loss, says, I didn't like our game most of the night. I thought we were quite casual early in the game. Our passing was horrendous. There was nothing crisp about our game. Somehow, our power play, even that was ugly, but it kept us into the game. And then when the third period starts, we gave up 4 in every different fashion you could think of. 4-on-4, face-off coverage, off a rush, and off a D-zone breakout. So there's really no other element to the game where you can get beat. Penalty shot, maybe. You guys can probably use your own notes from about a week or 10 days ago when I said until this team figures out that they have to value checking and defensive play, I'll keep telling you the same things, and lo and behold, here I am again, back to the drawing board again tomorrow. Throw that into the AI translator, and here we go. I ain't feeling our game for most of the night, fam. We were straight up chilling at the start, no cap. Our passes were trash, like totally whack. Zero crispness, bruh. Somehow our power play, even that was busted, but it kept us in it, Then boom, third period hits and we choked, giving up 4 goals in every way possible. 4-on-4, face-off fail, rush hour, and D-zone disaster. So we got cooked every way possible. Maybe a penalty shot could have been worse. Y'all can peep your notes from like a week or 10 days ago when I said until this team figures out they got to value check-in and D, I'm going to keep spitting the same facts and bet here I am again, back to square one tomorrow. Sheesh. Now, I don't know how sheesh would have come out of McClellan's mouth, but I'm pretty sure in his mind he was thinking that. Now, the Red Wings have a tough opponent coming in on Friday. The Lightning, a team that leapfrogged them and climbed up that ladder, but a team that the Red Wings have beaten at home earlier in the season. So we'll have to see how things pan out. A lot of times after a loss like this, you got McClellan, who really is kind of the great motivator. The whole aren't you sick of this kind of speech, aren't you tired of this? Those kinds of moments really shine and really show when the Red Wings take the ice again. So we're hoping for that kind of mojo. We'll have to see. And until then, LGRW from the PNW, and this has been Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch, and I've been Kirk MckNight, and happy Thanksgiving.